Hey guys, so welcome back to Zero Escape Virtue's Last Reward. Let's carry on where we left off. We're pretty much in the end game now, and Kay's about to explain everything that he's remembered. Probably the fact that I looked exactly like him. I can't wait to hear that explanation, among other things, as we wait for Akane to rise from the grave. So, Kay, go on. Tell us everything.
I was born and raised in this facility. It's called Rhizome 9.
Rhizome 9.
A rhizome is an underground plant stem that spreads by sending out roots.
Yeah, and that's what Akane said, right? Like a rhizome.
Kind of makes sense, doesn't it? This facility is a little like a rhizome. Supposedly, that's why they call these installations that.
Right, multiple installations.
The number comes from the facility's number.
Just happens to be 9.
There are 54 rhizomes on the moon, and this is the 9th one.
54.
Well, I suppose the other ones don't really matter to you, do they?
No, not exactly.
In any event, I grew up here with Akane and Zero Senior. I watched them create the AB project.
The AB project?
Yes. Its purpose is to send Phi and Sigma, or their consciousnesses at least, to the past.
Why us specifically? Did they know that when they kidnapped us all those years ago? Back 45 years, right?
Yes.
So, you want us to change history, huh?
But you only looked like me. Sorry. Akane came here while you were still a kid, right?
Go back and keep Radical 6 from getting out, and stop the reactors from exploding.
I suppose that's on our additional to-do list.
That's our mission?
Stop the world from turning red.
Well, not exactly.
Like a big pimple in the sky. What do you mean?
It's true that the ultimate goal of the project is to keep Radical 6 from spreading to the general population. But even if you do make it back, you won't be able to do much. By now, it's already too late.
Why is that?
Too late?
What do you mean?
Let me begin at the beginning.
It's always a good place.
You might be thinking that Zero Senior and Akane were the ones who created all this, but that's not entirely correct.
Okay.
They only followed the histories they'd already seen. It was the only choice they had. Nothing less than the future of mankind is at stake. We need the two of you to jump through timelines while maintaining your memories.
Right, is it because they went back, didn't realize what was going to happen, everything repeated itself?
That is why you had to play the AB game, and why the chromatic doors were necessary. By forcing multiple options, you could make numerous jumps.
I remember different things from different flows, because we had to remember them.
We speculated that jumping more would strengthen your memories. The puzzles were also there for a purpose.
I like how you point at this specific puzzle, which I didn't do.
Some theories hold that a moment of insight when you solve a puzzle strengthens your connection to the fourth dimension.
Ah.
That was the reason for the puzzles. Your infection with Radical 6 was also a vital part of our plan.
Oh, your plan as well. You're just including yourself in it, are you?
By slowing down your brain's processing speed, we can store your potential. With that energy stored up, we just had to provide a life or death situation to launch your consciousness into the fourth dimension. Like a bullet from a slingshot.
Yep, you sound like your
Wait.
mother.
Hold on just a minute here. You keep talking about Sigma and Phi, but what about the rest of us? Why did you bring us here?
Yeah.
That's simple. In earlier histories, you were all here in Rhizome 9.
So we gotta keep the timeline consistent, huh?
We needed you here to accurately replicate those histories. Although I suppose that's probably not a good enough explanation for you.
Nope, that doesn't explain why you put Clover in cryo-sleep for like 45 years.
In a sense, though, it is the truth. Our primary goal was to replicate history. The rest is... Yes,
History.
I suppose I should explain. Very well. I will try and do so in a way you can understand.
Please do, because it sounds like you guys are bending the rules a lot.
First, Alice and Clover. They were abducted 45 years and 1 month ago, on December 22nd, 2028.
Okay, so these two were abducted.
The location is Earth, of course. More specifically, Los Angeles, California. Correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
After being kidnapped, your bodies were sent to a facility under Akane's direction.
Mm-hmm.
You were placed in treatment pods and immediately put into cold sleep. 4 months later, you arrived at this facility.
So both of them were in treatment pods then?
The date you finally arrived was April 14th, 2029. Your trip from Earth to this facility was aboard a spaceship powered by an annihilation engine.
So I'm guessing space travel is all commonplace at this time, because it is 2028, 2029, which is It's scary to think it's only like 9 years away, or 10 years away.
Following your arrival, your pods were placed in long-term storage. Does that make sense?
Why?
Are you telling me we were sleeping in those pods here for 45 years?
Yes.
Yes. In preparation for this day.
But why? What do you need us for?
You are an Esper, aren't you, Clover?
She is.
I mean that you are able to access the fourth dimension. Am I wrong?
Did Akane tell you?
In a manner of speaking. As I've already explained, the purpose of this project is to send Sigma and Phi's consciousnesses to the past.
So what's Alice then? Just collateral?
Espers are able to sort of resonate with one another, which can amplify their power. You understand? This is why we brought you here, Clover.
What about me?
We needed your help, Alice, to deactivate Dio's bombs.
Really?
Huh? But I didn't do anything.
Exactly, she did nothing. It was all me and Phi. We did it.
But you did. In another history.
Oh.
You were able to perform a prime decomposition on the 25-digit integer that Dio left behind.
Right, because of her mathematical skills.
Only you could do that sort of thing. Because of your feat of mathematics, we were about to determine that Dio had planted the bombs.
Or able.
Then we were able to question him and get the password for the number 31. Finally, we used that information to stop the bomb in this timeline. Without your help, Alice, we would have been reduced to nothing more than so much space dust.
So she was necessary for just one flow that's alternate to this one, just to get the password.
This history exists because of your presence.
Because she solved... Okay, I see. Wow. Jeez.
Now, let me explain why we needed 10 Myoji and Quark.
Well done, Alice. You did nothing in this flow, but you saved us in another flow and got me a password.
10 Myoji is simple. We needed you for the same reason we needed Clover.
Oh, I thought you just needed him because Akane wanted him around.
You are able to access the fourth dimension.
Just to play with his heart a little bit more, you know?
Almost half a century ago, you used that ability to save a young girl, didn't you?
Yeah, I did.
We needed you to resonate with Sigma and Phi, so we brought you here. All it took was a messenger.
Do you want to see Akane? If you do, come with me. I was a fool and fell for it.
Jeez, for 45 years he's been hunting for Akane. Never giving up.
And you brought Quark with you. In fact, you insisted that he come.
Yeah, I know. I guess you were worried about leaving me alone, huh?
Or you wanted him to meet the girl in your picture, huh?
He kept saying he couldn't run off to the moon and leave me behind.
I suppose in a world like that, yeah.
I'm sorry, Quark. If I hadn't been so stupid and selfish, none of this would have happened to you. I never thought this would happen. Can you ever forgive me?
Oh, don't worry about it. I mean, I agreed to come with you. I thought the moon would be way more interesting than boring old Earth.
And it certainly was.
What kid would turn that down?
We didn't see
That's
the
true.
messenger after we got on the ship. It was on autopilot. As soon as we got in, it headed straight for the moon. During the trip, Zero told me to keep quiet once we got there. I don't remember anything after we landed.
Then there was a bunch of that white smoke, and we passed out, and when I woke up, I was in the AB room.
Now, Dio. His real name is Left, and he's the leader of a terrorist organization called the Myrmidons.
Yep.
He was ordered to come here. The Myrmidons are under the control of an organization called Free the Soul, which is in turn controlled by a man known as Brother. It was Brother who orchestrated the release of Radical 6 into the general population 45 years ago.
Brother is responsible for releasing Radical 6.
Do you remember what Phi mentioned earlier?
So free the soul. And that's why they want to stop the AB project? Stop us from going back in time to prevent the outbreak.
The ultimate purpose of the AB project is to change history and keep Radical 6 from being released.
That's why Dio was sent here to foil the plan.
If we succeed, that would be bad for Brother and his organization.
Even though... Would it affect this flow?
Our success would prevent them from creating the ideal world they're working toward.
What, that big orange thing glowing in the sky? Not the sun, but Earth?
That is why Brother sent Left, his trusted lieutenant, to this facility. They needed to stop the AB project. So, Dio was given two tasks. The first was to eliminate Akane, the architect of the AB project. The second was to join the AB game and win it.
But why did he have to win the AB game?
If Dio won the game, the AB project would not be completed. At least, not in that timeline.
Right, I see. Just to prevent things. But I think as soon as he kills Akane, it's pretty much a done deal, right?
In other words, in that world, the project would have been stopped.
The project's been stopped numerous times.
If things didn't go as planned, Dio was given a contingency plan. If you cannot murder Akane and win the game, destroy Rhizome 9.
That was this current flow right here.
Hence, the bombs.
And you know all of this because you
Can
grew
I
up
ask you something?
Perhaps.
Perhaps.
How did Brother know about the AB project?
He was also an Esper.
Really? Brother's not Snake, is he?
We can set Brother aside for now, though.
Or Santa?
May I proceed?
Okay, go ahead. We'll consider Brother's identity later. No one objected. We were all curious.
Excellent.
Well, Luna's right. The garden is a nice place to have a serious conversation.
That explains everyone, save two. Luna and
And
myself. Sigma and Phi already know the truth about Luna. I don't believe I should reveal any more, however.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
I think it would be more appropriate if you could ask Luna yourselves, at a later time.
That's nice of Kay.
Would that be alright with you, Luna?
Yes, that's okay.
As for me, as I said before, I was born and raised here. The rest of you were brought to this facility, but I've never left. That makes me someone close to Zero Senior and Akane.
Yeah.
Hey, I've been wondering, who is Zero Senior?
You've already met him, Sigma,
You?
in another timeline.
Oh, yes, I have. Okay. I was gonna say, what? Yeah. Well, I saw a hologram. I still don't know who he is.
Stage 2 is complete. TP-00. Unlocking.
Treatment pod 00.
It
Surprised
looks
it's not
like it's finished.
Treatment pod 09.
Shall we open the pod?
Yeah, let's do it. Is it Akane in here, or is Zero Senior in here? All of us gathered around the pod. The glass was still covered with frost, hiding the contents.
Okay. Let's get started then. Ready?
Ready? Phi laid her hand on the lever and looked around at us. I swallowed. Yeah. Anytime.
Alright. Here we go. 3, 2, 1.
Pop. Like how Alice is like rolling her eyes. Just open the bloody thing. Oh, for God's sake! Oh no! What? Suddenly, my head was full of memories from other timelines. I'd seen something like this before. The warehouse on floor B, in front of the white door. Kay was lying in front of me. I grabbed his mask and saw my own face. I'd never figured out who he really was. Why was there a man with my face underneath Kay's armor? It didn't make sense. After I'd seen him, I was injected with tubicurine, and that was the end of that. But wait. If the person in the pod was the same person I'd seen on the floor of the warehouse, who was wearing Kay's armor?
You finally noticed. Didn't I tell you? You won't be alone.
Oh my fucking God. Seriously? Really? Are you gonna pull this off?
I will be at your side, watching over you.
No. I was wondering, you sounded kind of different. Oh my God. You're...
Yes, I am.
Bastard. Should've known. Hello.
Akane Kurashiki.
Oh, Tin Muji's gonna be pleased.
It's you! June! I mean, Akane, from... But you're old.
That's offensive.
Yes, that's correct. I haven't spoken to you in a very long time, Clover. Or you, Junpei.
Junpei?
Yeah.
Akane. Long time no see.
I could barely hear what they were saying. My mind was still reeling. It felt like all the air had been knocked out of me, and it was all I could do to not collapse right then and there.
When? How long?
Do you remember when the two of you saved me in the warehouse?
Yes. That was such a badass shot, though.
Once you saved me, you went back to your future. Well, your minds did, at least. I carried your bodies to the third AB room, and then took Dio's to the fifth.
Then-
After that, I went into the first room and borrowed Kay's armor.
And you put Kay, or me, whatever, in this treatment pod.
So by the time you and Clover came out, you'd already...
Swap places.
Yes.
Wait. That doesn't make any sense. Dio killed you. And then Luna took your body to the 6th room. You couldn't have been in Kay's armor.
No, it was me. In this timeline, at least.
Yeah. As you've so eloquently explained to me, thank you.
In this one, I wasn't murdered by Dio. You two saved me. It's just like Schrodinger's cat. Your actions in the future decided who would be inside the armor in the past.
Oh, wow. What? No, that's nuts.
Alright, what about the other history? The one where you weren't saved. What happens then? Who's
Yeah.
wearing the armor?
That's quite simple. The man in front of you.
Him?
But if we look at the flow, right? We affect the AB game all the way back here. This is the trunk, as they like to say. So technically, by changing things here, wouldn't that affect all these other flows? Or maybe I'm just missing something. Because it seems like it's only affected truly this one here. So these other ones weren't affected, even though we acted back here. Like, you'd think that this branch would be over here at the very least, like leading directly to the blue door. Or cyan door. Okay.
That's correct.
Maybe I just need some time for my mind to wrap around this.
Whenever I'm not in the armor, he is.
What about the memory loss?
And how... Okay.
For my part, I confess that I lied. He, on the other hand, was telling the truth. Large doses of soporil can cause memory loss. I gave him a rather large dose.
How friendly.
So, who is he?
Stepson.
You've never seen him before?
No.
What about the rest of you?
Wait, what?
I have no idea who he is.
What? Guys! Is this why... No. Hang on. What?
I've never seen him before.
Guys, it's me! It's my face! What's happening? What's happening? What's happening? Is this why, like, whenever they did those images and stuff, like, of all the group, Sigma's face was never there? Like, you know, when they went to watch the results on the screen, Sigma wasn't there in that picture. Is it because I'm, like, what, I'm some sort of specter or something?
Me either. Total stranger.
Ah, you guys, oh no, I love this. Well done, guys. I love this joke. It's cool, it's cool. I know it's me though, right? Aren't you guys freaked out that it's me in the coffin? No? You don't recognize me? What the hell? Hey, come on, what are you guys saying? Right here? Same face.
Huh?
What? Yeah, just realizing this now.
Huh?
Are you alright, Mr. Sigma?
What?
Did you hit your head or something?
What do I really look like? Huh? What? That didn't make any sense. Why didn't they recognize me?
Sigma, your consciousness can jump through time.
I've done a body swap, haven't I? There's no mirrors in this facility. The one mirror there is, which is in the infirmary, is too dirty for me to even look at and see what my face looks like.
You can inhabit your body in the past or in the future.
Oh no. What does that mean?
Don't you get it? You've jumped to the future. From 45 years ago.
Is that what happened, is it? I went to drive home, fell unconscious, and then just decided to jump my consciousness 45 years into the future. I looked around frantically. The water! Look at my reflection! A pond! I ran to it and threw myself down to my knees. Crawling on all fours, I approached the edge. My heart was hammering inside my chest. A cold sweat trickled down my spine. Calm down. Calm down. Calm down. God damn it. I struggled to take deep breaths. Then slowly, I peered into the pond, looking for my reflection. What? It's me. I'm Zero Senior. No. This can't be real. This face.
It's your face, Dr. Sigma Climb. Although, to the you that's behind it now, it's your face 45 years from now.
I'm even wearing the same clothes, but my face, it's different.
Zero, the mastermind of the AB project.
Me. I'm the mastermind.
Is you.
What? No, that's not possible. That's bullshit.
No, it's the truth.
Now all those pervy scenes of me make it even more creepy. Such a degenerate old man.
Fighting it isn't going to do you any good. Please, Doctor.
I'm not a doctor.
You will be.
Yeah, I was in medical school.
A pioneer in the field of genetic engineering.
You're lying.
No, I'm not.
That's why they couldn't show me in those pictures, because that would have given the gig up, you know? They should have done, like, I don't know. They should have, like, hid me in the crowd or something, but, like, always obstructed my face in those graphics. That would have been even cooler. But now that explains why I was never shown in any of the group photos and group shots. And just my arms and legs.
You created him. Well, I suppose I should say you are going to create him.
Create?
His name is Kyle Climb.
Kyle Klein.
Your clone.
My clone.
That is why he looks just like a younger version of yourself.
Oh my.
23 years ago, in the biolab here in Rhizome 9, you created Kyle.
My son.
Well, I suppose for you, that's still in the future.
But I've transported my consciousness.
When I said I was born and raised here, I was still pretending to be him.
Yeah, I got that part. Only because I played 909.
The gravity here is only 1/6 of Earth's. If nothing was done, the reduced gravity would cause his bones to be weaker than normal human ones.
Right.
But you prepared for that. You gave
Suit of
him
armor.
that armor.
So, the weight of it all.
Ever since he was born, he's lived inside of it. It kept his muscles and bones strong. He wasn't forced into it for the Nonary Game.
He always wore it.
He's been wearing it every day, all
Oh
his
man,
life.
this is... Oh my gosh. This is pretty cool. This is pretty cool, guys. I like it. I like it. But... Why would future me create a clone?
He was to be your spare. If something happened to you before the project began, he would take your place.
I see. I see. Okay.
I mentioned before that the AB projects A and B stood for after and before.
Uh-huh.
That isn't all they mean, though.
Now what?
The A also means anima, and the B means body.
Well, that's quite convenient.
Anima is another word for the soul, or the consciousness. Body is, well, exactly what it says on the tin.
Anima, huh? Must have like gone on to thesaurus.com. Come on, we gotta get something that fits with the AB. We've got B for body, soul, anima. That's a good one. There we go. We can still keep with the AB theme, guys.
The past consciousness will go into the future body, and the future consciousness will go into the past body. They switch.
And now, with all my knowledge of all my research, I can finally transport my consciousness back to my past self, which is empty right now because my self now has transported to the future.
That was the chief goal of the project.
Wait, so the future person goes into the past person. The future person must be in myself right now.
Sigma, do you remember the note you found in the garden?
The note?
You mean this, right?
Yes.
Oh, yes. Rhizome 9, B, D, E, Nevada test site. A.
Ah, of course, it was you who investigated the garden in this timeline.
That's right.
Yeah.
Sigma, take a good look at this. It's an illustration of the time jumps your consciousness is making.
So, my consciousness has jumped back to the Nevada test site?
A is where everything began. December 25th, 2028.
The day of my kidnapping.
You inhaled the white smoke in your car and lost consciousness. From there, you jumped to B. January 25th, 2074. You woke up in one of the AB rooms in Rhizome 9. You are in your own body, but it is 67 years old. Your consciousness has jumped 45 years into the future.
Can you stop pinging my consciousness around like a ping pong ball?
I believe that may explain why you didn't notice the reduced lunar gravity. The body you woke up in was much older.
Right.
Normally, you would have noticed that your muscles were much weaker. In this case, however, the lower gravity balanced that out. Moving on, if you continue along this line, what happens next? You reach C, which is January 27th, 2074.
Uh-huh.
That is today.
Right now. We've been playing this game for 2 days.
Whoa. Wait, what do you mean? Are you saying it's been 2 days since we woke up?
Jeez.
36 hours to be exact.
Really?
Have you already forgotten? You were all infected with Radical 6.
Of course.
The virus slowed your brain down.
So our bracelets must have compensated for that. With the time of how long it takes for the doors to open?
So yes, 36 hours of real time have passed.
Of course.
But to you, it only seemed like 14 hours and 40 minutes.
I hope you're inoculated.
Now comes the important part.
Now, we're up to C, which is now. Now, the important part is we need to jump to D, which is, like, in the middle of it all.
After this, your consciousness will return
Finally
to the
to
past.
E.
It will re-emerge at point D. April 13th, 2029.
When the reactors went off.
You will return to your younger body.
But that's the same day as the reactor explosions.
Yeah, well, obviously she wants us to stop that.
Yes. That is why I said it will be too late. You will return to the past, but the events you would want to prevent will have already happened.
I mean, shit's already gone sideways at that point, right? Radical 6 has already been released. Stopping the reactors isn't going to do much. It's just going to stop the Earth from being engulfed in flames. But Radical 6 will still be around.
The story does not end there, however. The line continues. After reaching point D, you will eventually return to B. But this time, you won't be jumping through time, or at least not at a rate faster than normal. Your consciousness will spend 45 years inhabiting the same body, until you reach point B.
Which is when I set up the project.
Do you remember when B is, Sigma?
January 25th, 2074. According to what you just told us, it's 36 hours ago.
Correct. That was when the consciousness of the 22-year-old Sigma jumped into the body of 67-year-old
It's a lot of switcheroos going on.
So where did the older version of you go when you took his body?
Point A. Zzz. December 25th, 2028. The day all of this started.
Yes. His consciousness will go back in time 45 years.
To my younger body, but with all his knowledge.
For a period of time, he will inhabit your younger body. While your younger consciousness is elsewhere, he will be you in the past.
Jesus, like Invasion of the Body Snatchers. But once that body reaches point D, my 22-year-old consciousness will come back from point C.
That's correct. When that happens, the older version of you will be ejected from your younger body and return to your body at C.
So it's rotating.
Rotating? I suppose you could put it that way.
Yeah, it's like swapping shifts.
But look at this illustration closely. What if you take all these lines and untangle them?
I guess we're trying to aim for this alternate reality.
You get one single line. It may look complicated, but in truth, it's a single straight path, with one exception.
This line here, at point E, right? Yeah.
Exactly. Point E is December 31st, 2028, the day of the total eclipse.
And the day Radical 6 escaped. The day Radical 6 got out of the test facility.
Yes. By now, you've likely figured it out on your own.
That is the pivotal point.
The purpose of the AB project was to get the consciousness of the 67-year-old Sigma from point B to point A. If we can do that, we can change what happened 45 years ago.
Changing the past. So the old version of me will keep Radical 6 from getting out. By jumping into my 22-year-old body on New Year's Eve 2028?
Yes. That is why this line could not be interrupted.
Oh my gosh.
In order for the
an audacious plan.
67-year-old version of you to reach point B, we first have to go through point D. In order to get to point D, we must jump from point C.
Yep.
And for point C to happen, we had to recreate everything that happened in this facility. That is why we have faithfully retraced history up to this point.
And only now are we going to try and change it.
So that we might save humankind from destruction and undo the horrors of the last 45 years.
Jeez, but what's to say that something else won't replace Radical 6? What if Radical 7 comes along? Oh dear. It's quite an ambitious story. Oh, phew. Tell me one thing.
What is that?
It's pretty exciting though, I'm not gonna lie. You said that point C is January 27th, 2074, which is today. There's going to be a jump, and I'll jump to April 13th, 2029.
Yes, that's right.
Cool, so I get to see what's at stake before I go back and finally fix it. But, look, I'm still old. My consciousness will transfer. Sigma, not your body. When is this jump supposed to happen?
Very soon.
Soon?
Yes.
And what's going to trigger it?
We need potential energy stored to send your consciousness into the 4th dimension. Fortunately, we now have plenty of that.
Really?
Thanks, ironically, to Radical 6.
Thank you, Radical 6.
All that remains is to launch your consciousness, like a bullet from a slingshot.
There you go with the bullet from a slingshot again. And how do you propose to do that?
Didn't I tell you? A crisis.
A life or death scenario.
A moment balanced between life and death. That can jumpstart your brain.
What, so you're gonna come at me with a knife? What do you mean?
You haven't figured it out.
There's another bomb somewhere?
I mean this.
Dio's knife? No sooner were the words out of my mouth. She's running at me! Bye! I screamed and leapt toward them. Kane was already in motion, the knife diving toward Fi's chest. I was almost there! And then I was not. When I regained consciousness, I was on the floor. There was a dull pain in my chest. I felt for a cut, but something was in the way. It took me a moment to realize that it was Akane's body, lying on top of me. I twisted my neck to look around. Nearby was an old tombstone. On it was written a few words in Latin. Tu fui ego eris. What you are, I was. What I am, you will be. Oh my gosh. Well, you heard the old woman. We've got humankind to save. No, surely not. Surely it doesn't end here. See, look, I was never here, because that would give up who I am. So then... No! Surely there's more to this. This isn't gonna be the end. A new destination has been added to the flowchart. I was convinced, I was like, surely this is not the end. I'm not going to get my thoughts on the game just yet, because it's not the end. A new destination's been added. We've got the Fi ending. Oh my. Headquarters, April 13th, 2029. Let's jump. Wow, okay, here we go. Jeez, Radical 6 has gone crazy out there. Well, that's
Today
the reactors already.
is April 13th, 2029, and this is the evening news. Unfortunately, I'm sorry. I don't have any news to read.
Wow, really?
All of our station's reporters have passed after contracting Radical 6.
Oh, okay, well, yeah, shit.
So have my... Excuse me. I've managed to keep us on the air until now. But I'm out of tricks. It's time for me to sign off.
Okay.
This concludes our broadcast day. I pray that someday our world can be cleansed of this horrible plague. Goodbye.
Hopefully. I think your prayers have been answered. I'm here. Oh, shit. Phew. For a moment, I just stared at the TV. The roar of the static seemed to fill the entire room, until with a click, it disappeared too. I saw Akane, 22 years old, on the credits, so so that's how I kind of knew, like, surely that's not the end. Had the power gone out? And now I know why there's 3 treatment pods. Alice, Clover, and Fi. I never needed one, because my consciousness transported itself, of course. I heard footsteps behind me and turned around. You! Zero. Those robes. Akane. Akane? Those robes. They look like the robes from 999. I can't remember the symbol though. You...
It looks like the first step was successful.
You're part of the, Free the Soul movement. What the fuck? You killed me!
Killed?
In the future. I guess technically you're going to kill me 45 years from now, but still!
Hey, no need to be rude about it.
Rude? You killed me! What do you want me to do? Give you a hug?
I didn't kill you.
Okay.
I hit you with the butt of the knife. You're fine.
Really? Oh, jeez. Oh, thank you. I'm okay?
Yes.
You're too cool for school, Akane. Warn me next time.
You and Fi needed to experience a state of crisis. That was the only way.
Me and Fi?
Yes. I only told you about you, but
Fi's also important, right? Because she was part of the AB project.
we also needed Fi to jump.
And where has she jumped to? Here's the treatment pods. Alice, Clover, and Fi in there?
Now, you know what happens next, right?
The reactors. We go to the moon?
Correct.
Ah, yeah, that happens.
We will be leaving tomorrow, April 14th, 2029. We've nearly finished preparing your shuttle. Only a few last-minute checks and additions. You'll be traveling to Rhizome 9, along with 3 treatment pods.
Alice and Clover, right?
Yes,
What about the third one? Who's in there?
Fi.
Yeah, there you go.
We put her into cold sleep 2 days ago. She appeared at our headquarters and volunteered to be frozen.
I'm just thinking like this time loop to be consistent, right? Alice and Clover will always be kidnapped for the treatment pods, and that just, it just boggles my mind. Time always screws with my mind.
That wasn't the Fi who jumped from point C, though.
Where's that one then?
It was Fi before she jumped from point A to point D. In other words, she was following the same path you are. And she still is.
Right. Then that means that after you froze her, the point C version of her jumped back into her body?
Yes. The point C version of Fi is sleeping in that pod. She'll stay there for the next 45 years. Sleeping in ice.
Then when she gets to point B, her consciousness will jump to point A, right?
Correct.
Huh. So that's why she didn't look old. So why don't you just stick me in one of those pods?
We can't do that.
Why not?
You haven't figured it out?
I have to keep the timeline consistent.
You have to spend the next 45 years working on the AB project.
Yeah.
After arriving at Rhizome 9, you must master genetic engineering and artificial intelligence programming, among other disciplines.
Jesus, like a parent that wants you to overachieve. You have to get all these degrees. Make sure you get that, son. Otherwise, we're screwed.
Otherwise, you will be unable to create Kyle, Luna, and Lagomorph. And, of course, you will need to develop the chromatic doors and the bracelets.
Well, I'm sure you can help me out with the bracelets.
You will also be the person who summons Tenmyoji and Quark. Once you've completed all the preparations, then the project can actually begin. January 25th, 2074. You will defrost Fi and carry her to the 3rd AB room.
You're lucky I've got a good memory. I'll
Once you've done
remember
that,
this 45 years from now.
the 22-year-old version of you from point A will force you out. And you'll just go back 45 years to your own body on December 25th, 2028.
So... And then I change history. Do you really think I can keep the virus from getting out?
You have to.
So I'm guessing we're gonna have to live Sigma's life for the next 45 years before we can jump back to point A.
If you don't, billions of people will die. Only you and Fi can save them.
What about you? Aren't you an Esper too?
I can't do anything on my own. If this is going to work, I'll need your help.
Life's hard, man. And then you die. Alright. So... What do I need to do?
What do you mean?
Like, what specific actions do I need to take? When Fi and I jump to point A, what are we going to do then?
You'll both enter the Mars mission test site.
And after that? That's where Radical 6 was being experimented on, right? That's where we had that recording.
I don't know.
What?
I'm sorry. I really don't know anything about what happens in there.
Haven't gone that far.
We don't know how the Radical 6 escaped. We don't even know why it was there in the first place.
Is this like a 12 Monkeys scenario? Oh, crap. Then we're screwed.
That's why we need your help. You have the ability to jump through time and across parallel worlds. We need you to figure out what happened in that test facility.
Yeah, but I can only jump into my own body. I can't just take over someone else's.
Things will be difficult, and I'm sure you will find yourself in a great deal of danger. But I believe the two of you can overcome any obstacle.
Wait. How do you know it's so dangerous?
The 67-year-old version of you told me what happened. He wasn't able to stop the virus.
Oh, cool. So what makes you think I can, if the timeline has to be stable?
So I suppose you could say you told me, after you failed.
What did I say?
That the test facility is full of traps. There was one point, a woman's life was in danger. You risked yourself for her sake, and lost your arms, and your right eye.
Oh, that's great. My arms and my right eye. So that's already happened then? Yeah. What the hell? I'm Big Boss. Suddenly, a low rumble shook the building. That's the reactors. What was that?
Go have a look.
I moved slowly to the window and peered outside. On the horizon, I could see a massive mushroom cloud climbing slowly toward the sky. Shit. It's begun. Would we really be able to change the course of history? No. That was the wrong way to look at it. It couldn't be a question. I had to change history. We could save the world. I'm going to change history. I stared at the darkening skies above us and steeled myself. I would succeed. At all costs. It's not gonna roll credits again, is it? Here we go. 45 years later. End or beginning, fire and ice. God, now I have to jump all the way back here. Infirmary, another time. After Fi's end. Jump. And we're back here. Cool. Jumping all over the place. Jeez, how do I keep my sanity?
Where?
I see you've finally woken up, Kyle.
Ooh, I'm saying I don't have to voice myself anymore.
Kyle.
Ah, yes. Of course. You've only just woken up in this timeline. It's only natural for some of your memories to be missing.
I lurched upright, jumped off the bed and ran around to the other side of the partition. No, I'm Sigma. The mirror over the sink was covered with a film of dirt. I wiped it off with my sleeve, and my reflection stared back at me. There was no mistake. The reflection belonged to...
Kyle Climb. So, I'm Dr. Climb? Zero Senior's clone?
What? How do you know that?
Because I've regained my memories. The AV project.
Shouldn't you still be suffering from amnesia?
An excellent question. One I didn't quite know the answer to myself. I knew who Kyle Climb was. In another history, he'd been called K and had worn a suit of armor. K, of course. He hadn't just worn the armor in that history, though. Apparently he'd worn it all his life. Kyle had been born and raised in this lunar installation, which seemed to be called Rhizome 9. Rather late in his life, Kane had appeared as a mother figure, and he had consequently grown very attached to her. I knew everything about him, but even though I knew it, I didn't feel it. Was I really Kyle Climb? Every time I looked in the mirror, I saw his face. The spitting image of Sigma Climb in his younger days. I looked down. I like how Sigma's called Sigma, and then we got Kyle, which is like a normal name. There was Dio, still handcuffed, still unconscious. I turned back around to Luna.
What day is today?
January 27th, 2074.
And today is the last day of the AB project. Akane has explained everything in the garden. And she drew a knife and attacked Fi.
And somehow flipped it so that
How
the
long
butt
have
of
I
the
been
knife hit me.
asleep?
About 5 hours in real time. For them, it would have seemed like a little more than 2 hours.
Alright, sorry, no, I would be Climb. How? Because my consciousness can only jump into myself. Unless, does it count if I jump into a clone?
So they still haven't been treated for their Radical 6?
Nope.
No, they've all been given the antiviral.
Ah, that's nice.
It just takes a while to have an effect.
I see. So the consciousness of the younger Sigma has gone back into the past. It should have happened right after Akane attacked Phi, right?
Yes,
Why am I here?
the doctor carried you back here. You were in the pod in the garden.
So the person you call the Doctor is Sigma Klein, as inhabited by his age-appropriate consciousness.
Right, so 67-year-old Sigma is back again.
Yes, but how do you know that?
Dio seems to have remained unconscious.
Yes, I've been administering Soparil whenever he
Oh,
gets restless.
that makes sense.
What about the others?
They've all gone off to different areas.
Why?
Tenmyoji and Quark, for instance.
Where are they wandered off to?
Oh, right. Mr. Klein.
Mr. Klein, that's me, young Quark boy.
So the sleepyhead's finally up, huh?
Take it easy, Tenmyuji. Alright, Quark's a kid, so I'm happy to be friendly with him. But you, sir,
What are you two doing here?
chill out.
You don't know where we are?
This is the upper floor of the pressure exchange chamber. The real one.
Mm-hmm.
Did I pass your test?
We were just about to get dressed and head out.
To where?
You plan to return then? To Earth, I mean.
Yeah.
Sigma told us where we could find the shuttle that brought us here. Well, guess he's not really the Sigma I knew anymore. He's Dr. Klein now, or Zero Senior, depending on how you look at it.
Why?
Right.
What do you mean, why?
Well, I'm just curious why you would choose to return to a devastated planet when you could stay here.
How's staying here gonna help? You aren't gonna say something idiotic about how we should wait here until Sigma changes the past, are you?
Well, why not?
You can't wait for something that's already happened.
Yeah.
Grammar doesn't work that way. Hell, nature doesn't work that way.
So this timeline's effed no matter what, right? It's just that other timeline's gonna be safe.
You following me? We've already lived through history. Sigma failed to keep the virus from getting out. About 45 years ago, Radical 6 created a pandemic, and the antimatter reactors blew up. That all happened.
Yeah.
Whatever Sigma does in the past, history's not gonna change. In fact, it's because of what he did, or didn't do in the past, that we've got this past and present.
That's what I was thinking, right? Like, by going back, maybe we caused it all to happen. That's how Radical 6 gets out, because we have to keep the timeline stable.
Let me give you an example. Imagine a group of 100 motorcycles driving down an endless freeway. Eventually, they hit a junction. The road splits in two. One freeway continues off northwest, and the other stretches out to the northeast. So one guy, we'll call him S, pipes up. "Let's go northwest," he says. So they take the northwestern road. But about a mile past the intersection, something horrible happens. A semi driving the other way veers into their lane and plows through the bikers.
This is quite an extreme example you've just come up with, Tenmyuji.
90 of them die. The surviving 10 are wounded, but survive.
And you're saying by going back and then switching lanes, that's not going to change anything. Those 90 are still dead.
They don't stop, though. They keep riding down that highway, and eventually they'd gone 10,000 miles. Then suddenly, something happens that they couldn't have predicted. S, who had survived, suddenly has his consciousness thrown back in time.
Right.
He ends up back in his own body just before they reach the junction. He remembers everything. So what does S do?
Changes the course.
What anybody would do. Let's go northeast. That means all 100 of the bikers survive to reach their destination, happy and healthy.
At least in that timeline.
And they all live happily ever after. That's what you're thinking, right? It's a great outcome for the 100 bikers that went northeast. But what about the 10 that went northwest and survived the accident?
Huh? Wouldn't it be 9 people? I mean, S's mind went back in time, right?
Right. Okay, 9 people then.
You have to get to 9.
What happens to the reality they were living?
Does it just disappear? In which case, that's a terrible outcome for them.
Does it just disappear when S changes the past?
Or does it just remain the same? And that reality, those people were never saved. It's nice and all and happy and shit that the other timeline people got saved, but what about the ones that we're living in right now?
It's not as if it was only bad things that happened during that 10,000-mile trip. Maybe one of them fell in love with a woman working at a gas station they stopped at and had a child.
You've not only changed that, but you've changed everything.
Maybe one of them picked up a homeless kid who joined them on their adventure. That 10,000-mile journey would be full of stories. Friendships, farewells, romances. The loss of those 90 lives is horrible and unfortunate. But what would rewriting their history mean?
You would never meet Quark, for example, if we go back in time, probably.
The 9 who survived lived full lives. How can it be right to just erase all that?
And replace it with another.
The survivors overcame their own misery and loss and made the best they could of the hand they'd been dealt.
I know. But what about the 90 people who never got a chance to enjoy stories of themselves, you know? Just because 10 people got to enjoy stories. What about the other 90 that never got to enjoy stories? The other 90 who never got to fall in love or say goodbye or anything. They just died unceremoniously on the side of the road.
Isn't that worth something?
It is worth something. But think about what's worth for the 90 people.
Isn't that the best thing that humans can aspire to? Is there really any point to a world where everything is happy?
No, because it doesn't work. But still, if you could avoid such a huge tragedy, wouldn't you want to stop that?
Are people who struggle for a better life just idiots?
No.
Being human is about fighting, even when it seems hopeless, and finding happiness, even in a world that hates it.
Yeah, well, it's hard being human now that most of mankind is dead, right? There's been a huge global catastrophe. People are dead all over the world. I think that's a drastic outcome that we need to change, you know? Sure, if there was an attack where, 1,000 people died, sounds kind of bad, but like, yeah, maybe you could have a point, but this is a global-wide catastrophe. Millions, billions have died, okay? That's not something we can just, like, ignore.
Are you saying that's worthless? If you're saying rewriting the past will erase all these other timelines, then whatever God wrote those rules can Look, I'm just not going to accept that, alright?
I can see where you're coming from then, Tim Muji. You've obviously been through a lot. You've survived a lot. You've made a life for yourself. You found Quark. But...
You get it?
If Sigma changes the past, then you and Quark will never meet.
Is he right?
No. It's not gonna happen. We're here right now. This is reality. Even if Sigma does change the past, we're not just gonna disappear or something.
Oh! Then that means we get to stay together?
Yep.
Good.
Thanks, kid.
I understand how you feel. Why you want to return to Earth is clear. You have lives there, I imagine. There are likely people waiting for you.
Right.
Uh-huh.
Have you already said goodbye to the others?
Who voices Kyle? It just sounds so familiar, but I can't place it.
Bye, Luna, Alice, and Clover all saw us off.
Right.
We told him we'd see him again someday, and then came here.
They were the only people you want to say goodbye to?
Well, no point saying anything to Dio.
Besides, he's asleep. You were asleep too.
Sorry, but we didn't really know much about you.
That's fine.
You have a point. Akane was in the armor in this timeline, after all. What about Sigma?
Well, he's not really Mr. Sigma anymore.
Yeah.
Of course. He is Dr. Klein now that his consciousness has returned.
But you still met him. Just, he's aged 45 years now.
Yeah, but more importantly, he's the guy who brought us all here. Not a lot of warm feelings there, you know?
True.
And Akane?
And you had some warm feelings for Akane, though, and she brought you to the other Nonary game.
Never mind her.
Well, you came all this way for her. You were lured here with the prospect of meeting her.
She's just like him.
And now you hate her.
Not the Akane I knew. She must have seen some pretty awful things over the years. Hell, she might not even be human anymore.
That's sad.
But the Akane Kurashiki I know isn't here. She's not anywhere.
Sorry. Sorry you feel
In the
that way.
end, Clover and I were just pawns.
Kinda. But hey, you stopped a bomb from going off.
Pawns to be used and then gotten rid of.
Well, we won't get rid of you, but you did find out one password, and that's all I needed.
Still, it's not like we're completely resentful. We had to be here to help change the past.
And you avoided that big plague.
That part's easy to understand.
And you avoided getting roasted.
But
Kinda sucks, though. I mean, Sigma and Phi have it easy.
Yeah, we can just jump forward in time. Meanwhile, you couldn't even contact your brother. Because we're so far into the future, he's probably dead. Of Radical 6, even.
They get to go back to December 25th in 2028.
Yeah, Christmas.
They'll stop the Radical 6 and save the world, and then they'll have a nice, normal future to look forward to. In other words, they get to go back to Point E and just enjoy history like it was supposed to happen.
But we don't. We're stuck with Point C as our starting point.
You told us about Tenmyoji's story, right? The one with the motorcycles?
Yeah.
It would be like if Alice and I were kidnapped right before the intersection. Then whoever grabbed us takes us to wherever the bikers are going, 10,000 miles to the northwest.
Don't get us wrong. We know why we had to be here.
Yeah, you're allowed to feel shitty about it. Yeah.
Without us, S's consciousness wouldn't have been able to go back to right before the intersection.
If that couldn't happen, then the fate of those 90 dead bikers would be sealed. But
It's still not the best situation for those of us left in the Northwest.
I know.
We're stuck in the reality where the 90 bikers died.
are we just supposed to go live on Earth? It's a wasteland now.
Well, you can always live on the moon.
And what about our friends and families? We left a whole world behind 45 years ago.
It's us, Captain America.
Even if it is for the greater good?
It just doesn't seem fair, does it?
It's not. It really isn't.
Yeah, it's a little bit much.
Especially because we didn't get to ask you guys. We just took you.
So we went and talked to the old lady.
She told us that there is one way.
One way we could get back to the past.
Really?
Let's say you do go back to the past.
Maybe she's just trying to cheer you guys up.
Wouldn't that cause your minds to get thrown back here? That seemed to be how Sigma and Phi's jumps worked, at least.
Yes, you're right.
But this is different.
Different. How so?
From what she said, it sounds like there's a way we can send our bodies back in time, too.
I mean, it does sound like it's just Kay's voice unfiltered, but, like, still.
That's ridiculous. It would create a paradox. How could you have two Clovers and two Alices at the same time?
But that wouldn't happen.
Akane says there's a way around that.
How on earth does she plan to do that?
Schrodinger's
Cat.
Oh, hey, Kyle.
Hello, Phi. Suppose we'll carry on the epilogue next time, shall we?